there, everyone over there in Portland or wherever you are. Please forgive me for once again, and I can't look at the camera because when I do, it pulls people in here from whoever's watching. So, with that being said, there's so many things that I need to say, but I can't say them very well because literally people are coming in and out of my face every 5 seconds, changing whatever my thought process is. They can make me forget social security numbers and what mine is because they did ruin it yesterday in court up here, or whatever, 3 days ago or 5 days ago, or over here in Washington too, for owning any S corporation, which I was never talking about owning an S corporation, period. I mean, I was, but it wasn't me talking about it. It was the upper echelon women whose lives have been ruined and destroyed for the same reason. And the angels division, that is literally the ones that come in and clean house and a bunch of other stuff, like the ones who give you blue life force that keep you alive, right? And blue lifelines to live on, which apparently that's a Fed thing where you can come in here and work and have a lifeline if you're doing the right thing, right? Well, everything that they've done with my power source through my eyes, like the back of the hand thing or whatever, putting a hole in the wall, that saved like a whole bunch of people. And I guess that was like a submit transmission on some bad guys. And it was supposed to get the M worders, I mean, pink jumpsuits, child abuse people, guys, off of my head, right? I'm a mom. And that judge was like, guys, you shouldn't be helping her for some reason. Because what? Because they set her up all over the internet? Judge Reynolds or Reynolds was over there. He's not a judge, he's a cop or something. Anyways, it's just ridiculous because she doesn't know what the truth is either, or anybody else. But anyways, so I know how to prove it 1,000 times, and I know the people that had games going that also had their lives fucked up, and they had to literally move to non-extradition for something they didn't do either. And it's just messed up because literally this is what they told me. Okay, I wasn't in court yesterday, right? Or whenever that was over there in Portland. So how would I know what happened in court? Well, here's what I was told that happened in court. Whether it was a child abuse case or it was something else that they showed somebody hurting somebody else or breaking into the office or whatever you want to say, right? Who knows? They could have used anything to hurt me yesterday. Because when AK was here, Anthony Ciaz, I took his dome pieces off. So basically I did it like 3 times. And I said, put his body on. But the thing is that I can't explain it. There's a lot of different people involved. But when I did that, I brought him over to my lifeline or this lifeline over here. So they were able to see through somebody else's eyes again, who couldn't, to set me up again, to not stand up for me again. And they're acting like they've ever helped me on the ground with money or a resource to get a car or a job or anything. And I swear to God that all of this was literally because I didn't get disconnected, but they did not know who I was on the ground and that I was a UE member. But I wasn't working for law enforcement like that necessarily because I've never signed into nothing and I've never been in trouble. And I never made no deal with an attorney or anybody else. The people in here do. And then they get the money in here and figure out a way to get it to themselves on the ground, pretending to be me or might have my situation. But they don't. And I'm a mom who's never been in trouble, who was set the fuck up. And so was Sal Cortez. And so was Tony. And they said that they went in there literally to set them up. And it's because literally, okay, so what happened? This is a short version of it, kind of. What had happened last 2 years ago when I was still sitting at my mom's house, because I moved across the bridge in March of not 2023, but 2022. That's 2 years ago in February. Hark the Herald Angels sing. Okay? And these people were up here. And the short of it is when you're a UE member / CPS worker in the sky, right? Because my player, whoever it was up here in the sky, whether it was me or somebody else, was a CPS worker or a UE member woman who you don't sleep with another man because you have kids and your or assailants that are attached to you that you're watching, right? And they can hear you and feel you when it's the other side of it. And it's usually a setup in progress. But anyway, like basically, so if the person on the ground is being watched by the UE up here, then they have basically what we call an Anunnaki helmet on, right? And so if they do something or say something, the people up here can hear it and feel it. If they're watching through their eyes at what's going on, then they feel like they did it too, right? Or they see it happen. Okay? So if they're that, but they're also at the same time the UE member who is watching them or protecting them like their kids or whatever, or it gets swapped so that their kids are now the ones seeing through their mom's eyes and feeling like that happened to them, right? And the mom, it's not their mom because somebody else is driving her train, like they drive my train or whatever in here to do stuff. Whoever I was attached to in here feels like it happened to them, like they had sex with people they didn't have sex with, or whatever else, passing around STDs, they keep saying, or whatever. And because they sent me, see, I have cotton mouth right now, and I haven't even done drugs because these people are high as fuck up here. I'm dying, okay? I'm literally dying. I'm peeing blood out of my pee hole almost consistently. And they can't prove it necessarily what is wrong with me or whatever. They keep saying, don't talk to the voices, Tiffany. I wasn't talking to the voices. The thing is that this is a tattle program where people tell on each other. And whatever was said about that kid through my mouth over there, someone else said it to set up some other man for something he didn't do either. Because it wasn't done to a kid, boy. It was done to a fucking girl. All right? And it was done by somebody on the police force in Portland or Arizona. I'm not sure which one at all. But with that being said, that's whoever it was is the scary one who is in everyone and who sets people the fuck up. And I guess he was the same one within the judge's situation 3 days ago when I heard it come over here and say Tiffany Browning's case is a gavel down or whatever they say, because I was able to see the video when I came up here and I was able to get back to my body on the ground and tell myself that I saw the video and that she did it. But what she didn't know is that, and I don't even know if they're using my face or a different face or a reflection of my face right now, right? And maybe they were. That's a good question. Because if whatever they watched from 2 years ago or whatever they're saying looks just like me right now with my zit on my face, right? This one, yeah, I have a zit on my face right now. If it looks just like me, like a picture-in-picture or whatever they've seen, okay, then it's not real. Because no matter how you flip it, it's a setup and progress game, and it's just messed up. Because I never broke into the office at the fucking apartment, because this was a different one, right? Trying to set me up for something else. Or maybe they're trying to set up a different guy, like Anthony Ciaz, who broke into the office or whatever. But anyways, the problem is that Anthony Ciaz was basically a cop or a narc or something like that. The kind of person that you're afraid of. And he was the one that lived at my apartment. And he used to be my best friend, but he's not anymore. All right. And there's videos and all kinds of traumatizing stuff in the UE of him ruining my life for like 2 years, right? And he kept me away from my kids and everything. And I had a fucking car, like X5 and everything. It was a nice car. And I had the apartment and I had the money coming in to pay my rent and everything was going great when he was gone. But I started hanging out with my friends and stuff, and he got jealous and he moved back from Arizona and he just ruined my life. And he would not let me leave the house. He popped my tires. He ran my car out of gas till it ruined itself. He keyed it. He broke the window. He had other people breaking the window while he made me sit there and stand up for his tow truck not getting stolen and his car's not getting stolen. And every time I talked to any other boy, he would like take all my shit and throw it everywhere, whatever, and just break it. And just, I literally was sitting there in my apartment, not able to go anywhere, see anybody, and he's literally trying to destroy this girl's environment all over again because somebody yesterday went and told on him to someone else that we can't talk about. And then they're ruining London's person who's been singing up for Tiffany down here, and they're ruining Big Voice in the Sky's opinion of me, and maybe I was just talking mean to some Big Voice in the Sky because I woke up because they're literally putting stinky, bloody period smell in my face when I'm waking up so that everybody else can smell it too and not want to be on my team or whatever it is. And I'm not on a team because I'm not in there. I'm not a DEA worker. I'm not anything else. However, I have tried to turn this horrible experience from when I lived in Oregon 2 years ago, okay, before Anthony kept coming back and coming in there and turning it into a flop house, before he went to court and said, hey, guess what? Tiffany wants to renew her lease and we'll catch up on the rent or whatever it was he said with Tanika or whatever, right? I didn't fucking live there. I didn't want nothing to do with that apartment or anything there. I wanted to get my stuff out of it, but I didn't have a car to go get it. I'm over here in Washington staying clean and sober, trying to be a better mom, waiting for the UE to bless me or give me a resource because I applied for work too and it doesn't go anywhere. But I can't think even to apply for work or nothing. They won't even let me say what I want to say because they're too busy worried about getting in trouble or something. Anyway, what's wrong? Nothing. We're just depressed because he literally put all of us over here on your team after you said one thing to him and you don't even know who he is. And it's not Reynolds because that's not his name. It's a freaking code name or whatever for somebody else. All right, but it is in fact the evil force guy that was in Anthony Ciaz's face when she asked him, "Do you let people watch me, listen to me, record me, or write me down because I hear them talking shit about me all the time?" And he had tears in his eyes, and he's like, "No, Tiffany, you're my best friend. I would never let them watch you, listen to you, record you, or write you down, right?" But he does know that they were doing it anyway, and he couldn't stop it. Not just that, he agreed to do some stupid shower scene to diss me. I can't even explain how fucked up it was. And the way that it was like, I don't suck dick, right? Because I don't want him to pee in my mouth, and it's like bad stuff, right? And from when I was little, it's something stupid. I'm not gonna get into it, but anyways, it's just when I was little, somebody wanted me to do it, right? And I was afraid they were gonna pee in my mouth. So what do? They try to rape me in hell in here, traumatizing shit, and pee in my mouth, right? It's just fucking depressing. Anyway, the point is that like no matter how you look at it, on one side they act like they stick up for Tiffany or whoever it is, and they're like, "Yay, thank you, Tiffany," or whoever you're not, because they won't even show my face. This one now because they tried to ruin it so bad with the freaking sticking up for whoever else they weren't sticking up for, right? And I'm not even gonna get into what it is, but it is that, well, whatever, we're not saying. And it's something bad that I didn't fucking do. I'm a good fucking mom. My kids love me. Like, they don't dislike me. My family loves me. They don't dislike me. My friends on the ground love me. Sort of. It's just that I don't really have any friends anymore because of whatever's in Oregon, and I haven't been talking. It's not even what's not in Oregon. It's that I did drugs for a few years and I was disassociated from my friends because I was a mom. And I can't even get into it because they literally, you can't even see it online because they fucking went to Google, literally broke into Google. And they broke into fucking Google, all right? And they, from their whatever website or whatever, trying to make it look like I was something I wasn't, and demolished and took it to the grave and took it to the garbage can and deleted my whole, it won't even let me talk, man. I'm trying to tell YouTube what is going on. That these motherfuckers are still in my head talking shit to me, embarrassing the shit out of me, and not helping me. They have not given me a penny. The S Corporation was my idea, but not for fucking porn or whatever it is that they do in this la la land that doesn't exist. Okay? Whether they're selling it or not, they're addicted to it. They wear other people's bodies and like 20,000 people get off at the same time or whatever, or they do it for dismeasurements of unit, like going back in time and sitting with Tiffany and knowing that she does not want to go anywhere else because she wants to stay right here because apparently she's supposed to get her money now. And how are you going to get your money, Tiffany? You're going to hand me my check and make it a big thing and how awesome it is and how it's a savior of the world, where all they did all day yesterday and every other day by going to the judges and everything else, okay, trying to make her look like something she wasn't because he was afraid he was going to get in trouble when she wasn't even talking shit about this guy who's worried about getting in trouble at all. Everybody else was because she can't see him. She doesn't know who they are at all. All right? She doesn't know who they are at all. And that one was saying you can't see him about the judge up here. Me? Why? Not me. Him. Because in here, like, different people are lopsided, and they think that too. They think that yeah, I mean, that's just it. All right. The people that know me, okay, know for a fact on the ground what the game is and how evil it can be. And that's one of the reasons why they don't want me to go over there to Portland or somewhere else. Not just that, but when I go over there, it reconnects to the people so their game gets changed or whatever. Because I did like ownership properties to my ISIM codes, which are illegal. And I'm not talking about the DEA's ones where they sign you on when you're in jail or whatever to look through your eyes to set people up. Okay. Which I guess it's kind of fucked up, but I guess if it's legal and you're not doing drugs or doing the same crime that you're setting them up for, like winning off of breaking into the office, right? It's just stupid because whatever they recorded yesterday, when they went back and redid the world all over again to get this other person over here to get the same exact ISTEM codes that I have, which are illegal as fuck to have, because not only do they ruin your life, it makes people come in and out of your body 24/7 and you have no privacy and it kills you. Which, by the way, have I mentioned I'm peeing straight blood now because my kidneys are giving out on me, and I'm a mom who's never been in trouble and never hurt anyone in my entire life, and my family doesn't think anything happened either because it didn't. Just like Sal didn't get arrested in this opposite universe twice either because it didn't happen. But they're acting like I'm going against the law enforcement or whatever else who's helped me this whole time or done anything good for me at all, and they haven't. And I can't tell if it's because everybody else keeps pretending to be me or whatever, or if it's because they literally cannot get down to where I'm at to see through my eyes. Like I used to say to the people that came out on the FBI line, meet me out front, meaning come down here, sit in my body, and look out of my eyes. You see my bedroom, all right? And you see into this world that you're in. But I've never hurt anyone in my entire life, ever. Right? And this is different judges coming down here, and they're not sticking up for Tiffany either, because they hate Tiffany, because they think Tiffany did exactly what we're saying. In court the other day, either broke into the office and had something to do with all that stuff, with it, which if you put the videos in here that I sent to the judges about what happened at that apartment and why I've lived over here and didn't want nothing to do with it, and it was not me who agreed to have a new lease renewed, when I knew for a fact Tanika was not going to pay the rent and neither was AK because he didn't live here. I was already out of there. Everybody else had already moved out. I didn't want nothing to do with that evil fucking place. I just wanted to get my stuff out. But at the same time, I didn't even really care anymore about my stuff after sitting here for a year and being promised that I was going to be rewarded at the end of whatever they were doing, which apparently it's been 2 years now in February, which is next month. And I was told I was going to be rewarded by the UE because I'm the first one who had learned how to copy a power source to the UE members that were literally coming in here on a barbecue pit situation because I saw the stars and it was pulling people's life force up, right? So we copied it from one person to the next to fix their body really quick or change them or whatever. And I'm the one that got permission to further develop the software that was in fact not just looking through my eyes, okay, but was ruining my life in my brain stems because there's different people talking shit. I have no privacy. All my friends have heard and seen through my eyes at one point or another. I'm pretty sure. They've watched me pee. They've watched me be humiliated in here. They've watched me not see my kids because I was stuck at my house because Anthony C has ruined my life and wouldn't let me go around anybody else because somebody was controlling him. And it made them look bad in the Game of Thrones, or it made it easier for them to do whatever they were doing, like their investigations or whatever they were doing, where they sit in somebody's body who has literally been in trouble before and look through their eyes, whether they're going down their timelines in the past now, which they weren't allowed to do that before. They could only go forward and watch what they were doing, like setting them up. But anyways, because mine is different and it was given to me through the UE because I saw the stars and it was killing me. I went to the hospital. I instantly started dehydrating from the inside out and my body was burning to an electrical heat. All right. And it happened to a million people in here too. And it kept happening over and over and over again. But it started off with the gamma ray because I stared at the TV and the gamma came through my eyes, like pixelated something. And it was hurting everyone's eyes and making their eyes burn and killing them. And because your spirit pops out in this alternate universe, if you get shot in the face or they, hit you with a punch ball or a whole lot of other stuff like a pun dart, which is really fucking painful. And if you don't know how to get rid of it or fix it, or that you do have a power source that can fix it or help somebody else, you're just helpless and they can move you around and use you as a player and you cannot get back to your body on the ground at all. But they think that they have sometimes, and that's the really sad part. But really what it is they'll go down this law enforcement agency thing and they keep telling everybody in their head bone, because the guy is backwards scanning on their head now, that Tiffany's crazy because she talks out loud and she hurt her kids when she was younger, or no, they're not saying Tiffany, they're saying somebody else that was sticking up for Tiffany. Anyways, the point is whatever phone calls were made in here were made about them setting Tiffany up. And I don't know if it went down to the ground, that the phone calls went to the ground or not, right? But the thing is that they made these phone calls because they were setting Tiffany up. In the last 2 years, they were setting Tiffany Browning up for different things, like making it look like she was spying on somebody or whatever they're not saying. But my kids are fine. And my daughter has lived with my ex for the last 5 years or 6 years since I moved from Vancouver, Washington, over there on 143rd Street off of 4th Plain. Or up there by Chekhov off 7th Street, which is when she was just born, where my son was young. Yeah. And before that, I lived with my ex, Chava, Right, over there behind Walmart. Right. Yeah, well, they told me the Czech log house up there was a point of interest, right? And that the other house was a point of interest. And if you could see all my pictures with my kids, dude, you would totally be able to tell that I never fucking hurt my fucking kids. And it was literally for ownership of this S corporation thing up here, which it wasn't even me saying I own an S corporation. What I was talking about, because they want the rights to do this by law, to look through people's eyes and to use all this information that they already gathered to tell on everybody else in Portland, Oregon, or whatever they're not saying, as an S corporation idea, and encapsulate it so that they can follow people, whatever, what we're not saying. But half the situation that they've used in here, like they were 14 levels up. Even those people that may or may not have been FBI that were unrolled when I threatened to blow them up with meth smoke, right? I can't see them. And I did have 5 points of interest before they killed my players in here. The win from that, when they did the back of the hand in Emerald Green Freedom, which was the permission slip to use my iStem codes and my power source, which, yeah, it's theirs mixed in. But the thing is it wouldn't have gotten to what it was at all if I had not seen stars with all these different people involved. And Cairo Syria is from Japan, and his dad owns a power plant over there, and we were borrowing electricity, so to speak. And his son is the one that fell in love with my UE member up here, who lives in Ohio, I think, right? And maybe they just use that as a situation, but she's the one who had my body on in here, and she's the one that had 2 kids, I think. And she's the one who put Red Devil Boy Voice in the folder of the people that were on the same chain. And one of them had bad charges on them. Okay, one of them had a CPS case that was a dude. And it's not somebody that I know, and it's not somebody that she knew either. But the thing is she put Red Devil Boy Voice, which is something very scary for somebody if you've ever seen it, and it comes after you or whatever, it chases you, it blows you out of proportion and everything. I said it as a way to retrain the brain of whoever the pervert was, but I had no idea about chains or none of this shit. All I knew was about the Game of Thrones, where they look through your eyes, which I still didn't even know they were looking through people's eyes at first. I thought they literally had cameras hidden in my room that I could not find, because I didn't know about the alternate universe and people living out lifelines up above you in real life. So people in real life in here, they can, if they want to watch Tiffany, or if they want to watch like a, some law enforcement know about it now. Like when you see big areas that are scary, where there's drug use or guns or whatever it isn't, like houses, like being rude houses that used to congregate lots of felons and bad stuff happening in and out of there, or flop houses like my apartment used to be, right? When we still didn't live there after Tanika got arrested, all right, it turned into a flop house. Anyway, the point is I'm a good fucking mom. They literally went to Google. All right, I bet you, if you were to do the research on the Google thing alone, it's so fucking sad, because these people said that the evil guy did it as a Google worker or whatever, because they put something on something different, right? And they erased my history of being a good mom through Google Photos and through Google Facebook, Tiffany1434578@gmail.com. And my notepad. They erased my existence for ever being a mom or ever being anything at all. I never once said I want to change my identity to the UE up here. I never once said anything. The thing is that I'm backwards scanned in. So the way that I'm backwards scanned in is making trillions of dollars in the sky. But they weren't even worried about what the stuff we were talking about over here in the UE. The good people that don't want to be tattletales or whatever, or want their eyes looked through illegally. We already went around the whole world and gathered all this information, from just being able to put somebody's body on and talk to them and see what they need in real life in here. We were able to help them and tell them how to be a part of the UE, right? And fix whatever their situation was. With that being said, we were also able to go across the seas between Robotrons and different things like that. Yeah, they go across the seas and they use Robotrons, or what are they called? Drones? Yeah, and they'll go in a castle and they'll look in these different rooms and see if anyone's in there, right? But it's a lot different when you can pick the body up because of the Robotron and put their body on and then translate what they're thinking or what they've been through or go down their timeline or whatever it is that we're not saying. It's total fucked up shit when you think about it happening for any other reason other than protecting our nation to not have another 9/11. But every other information that you've gotten from using people's brain stems and not going down their pathways is also pretty whatever they're not saying. But there's a lot of good things that came out of it too. like helping people get off drugs in a different way, or changing the life of just a few people that may or may not be in Tiffany's life in real life, that knew about the Game of Thrones, whose lives were ruined because their body was used all over the internet, and everybody else still does drugs, or else they've moved to Arizona because they couldn't take it, because you're literally helpless. All right. My deity program or whatever that I was talking about, that I wanted everybody to be a part of, and I talked about all this stuff in here, right? It's still up here. And it is $1 million situation where there's stocks and bonds and all kinds of stuff in it. But it's not something that I would ever want to control. It's literally just the thing that's supposed to give me my Lamborghini club situation that I started in here, because I am a self-made millionaire on the ground by myself, who was exonerated from everything way before any of this started, because I was a UE member, meaning they could look through my eyes, and they did go down my past history, and they did have to look past the needle usage and how I was traumatized and never wanted to have sex out loud and being watched, listened to, or recorded. And they did see how I was a good mom, and they did know that it was the pictures of my kids that were brought in here when they were little over and over again for people looking at it, because they were using my power source, right? And they are the ones who gave me the availability to scan an ID or whatever in real life on the ground, but it wasn't to scan my ID, it was to scan my body picture where I stuck up for Mike Allen in court in here, where my UE member sat in my body, and we talked to judges when they could still talk to me through the wall, right? Your Honorable Judge presiding. Yeah, that's the same one they seen in court, dude. And they seen a reflection of Tiffany, and they made it look like, oh yeah, well, this was her, because you could see the picture as a setup in progress, right? They're lying. They're lying. And you know why? Because if you were to go talk to Anthony Ciaz, he knows for a fact what happened. And I'll tell you what fucking happened. Anthony Ciaz and that other guy broke into the office over 2 years ago when it was during COVID, right? They asked me to help unlock the door, and I'm not talking about the other stuff. They asked me to help them unlock the door for a second, and it's Anthony Ciaz, okay? So he's what? A cop or an informant, the kind of guy you don't argue with, or else he pops your tires or whatever else. So I started to help him unlock the door, and if you were in my body, you could hear my thoughts like, I fucking hate this. I'm not setting this guy up, or I'm not going to do this. And I literally went and sat in my room where I had to make a cubicle thing. It's like a little circle globe thing inside of my concubine bed in my dirty room, where it's so gross and disgusting that they talk about, because I couldn't clean it, because I couldn't function, because when I was too scared of not moving, or maybe I was worried about repercussions of what KKK was doing, I couldn't think, because you guys are sitting in my body doing your lab work or whatever, and I'm just lulled out like staring in space. Because when you're low enough and you're thinking about what you're thinking about, I can't think because of how it is. Anyways, I have cotton mouth right now because these people in here, and this person's mad saying you're not supposed to be talking out loud because she's on work release, I guess, setting Tiffany up over there, named Mandy, kind of. And it's not even Mandy, it's somebody else named Katrina, or because we don't know anybody else's names except people of names that Tiffany knows. But Katrina Hayward was one, Ashley Service was one, Anthony Ciaz was one, some guy named Twizzle was set up too, like a motherfucker. Mary, whatever her name isn't, that lived at Jubal's house. All these people were set up to look different ways in here, like sluts or something else, where people can sit in your body and get high when you do needles or whatever. And I can't even get on Abby or anybody else who was also set up in here for a lot of other stuff. And it's just dumb, because none of these people had gotten in trouble and agreed to let a cop or anybody else look through their eyes to set them up for the Game of Thrones or anything else at all. All right. And LaShawn Clumpett, I heard he got set up too. Who really knows? Because I know something too. And I already talked about it the other day, and it's messed up. And yeah, I heard he could die in a motorcycle accident 2 years ago, which is sad. But I don't know nothing because I don't talk to anybody, because Anthony Ciaz doesn't let me talk to anybody at all. He cuts my phone off. They invade my freaking illegal ass signal that I sent to, I think it was, who was it again? The FBI, where I said they owed me $1 million settlement statement. Yeah. Well, if you count the fact that I've been sitting here for 2 hours in Vancouver, Washington, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This lady said 2 hours for what? I've been sitting here for 2 hours trying to get down here to talk to Tiffany while she was sleeping. And then she woke up and somebody was putting smells of period blood in her face. This bitch didn't even know she's sitting in her bloody ass underwear all day yesterday and all day last night, because we're in her head not letting her think. Okay? Anyway, So she was already pissed off, and a different voice in here said something to her, and I don't even know what she said, but it wasn't even disrespectful. Really, it was just kind of arguing or whatever, because they're all acting like they've helped Tiffany ever in her life on the ground with anything, and when they haven't, they've literally destroyed her identity over there, making everybody in here not want to be on her team and making her look disgusting. Like she was in here sleeping around with her spots out and her vaginal warts all over the internet, they keep saying. Well, she doesn't even know she has that problem, or if it's because they scanned her in with other hookers' bodies on or whatever. It's so fucking depressing because she's a fucking mom. And even her friends in Vancouver have heard certain things about what's going on, right? Right? And they're like, oh, well, I don't want to be involved in whatever you're involved in, Tiffany. And they didn't invite me for New Year's Eve. They didn't invite me for nothing. And it's literally because of ownership of this stupid fucking S corporation. And not just that, because these motherfuckers who were playing the Game of Thrones set Tiffany up 2 years ago. Not just Tiffany, but Rebecca, whoever that is, and Celeste. They set them up too in here because they put Red Devil Boy voice in their folder. All right. And then whoever in here that may or may not have been my player, like Jessica Pace, and maybe Rachel Morrow was involved too somehow. And I'm trying to think of anybody else, because Jessica Pace was against me, so she probably wasn't talking shit to those people. Yes. She's like, Tiffany. But she's facing me, so she thinks I can see her. I can't see you, woman, lady. I can't see this person. They're like, you're supposed to be in court today in Vancouver to stand up for yourself. Right. But I don't even know that because I'm not in there. They're like, oh, well, you must not be a UE member. Right. I'm not a UE member. They just got all their magic power sources and all their availabilities to change their bodies and keep it permanently on them in here so they can walk around with their new life force that I'm the one who discovered how to replace the life force that they were stealing out of the people on the ground in real life by being connected to them, watching them illegally or whatever. From when I saw the stars and it pulled them in here on accident and killed real people in real life. I'm the one who learned how in my brain with my thespian, how to replace it. Because not just that, I did arm dances where I swear to God, there was a video where if you look at it, you can see the blue coming off of my body immensely. And it turned from blue to white, right? And it was literally pulling the life force out of other people around me that I didn't know that's what it was doing, but it did. And then every time when I move or do too much, I get really lightheaded, like I'm going to pass out, right? And it's not every time, but most of the time. And it was still pulling, and they were using it in here for hand dances and a whole bunch of other stuff when people get connected. It's because our brains are literally connected to this computer up here. And that was like a lit up halo, sort of, maybe, in the sparkly town of the sparkly side of the pyramid that's supposed to be amazing and be on the dollar bill next, that raises it indefinitely, but not for this stuff, what I'm talking about, for everything else that they can do up here. And it does include getting rid of, that was a dragon. Dragons are cool. They even put the dragons down here to be punished and not stick up for Tiffany. Remember the dragons on Easter? When he's like, it was a mess dragon. It was a good dragon. It had like good dragons and bad dragons in it, but they were all left fighting for Tiffany, trying to get rid of those M&R cases with Eston Ape that she put on Anthony Cia's or Tiffany Cia's Facebook. It's a poem talking about her lifeline in here, about how they were setting her up and how Callahan came down the pipeline 2 years ago, which was what Tiffany got scared of in the first place, saying you're going to prison for a swamp murder. I'm all, what? I know, because I see the video of me running from the back of a house, right? And I can't explain it to you. I didn't see it on a computer. When you're me, they can give you videos in your face in real life, like of trailers flipping over or somebody stabbing somebody, and traumatize you. And they're all saying, Tiffany, what? You want to say to get Tiffany Saray's mom, who looks like a red-haired Tony, who was also set up? It's so fucked up. It's so fucked up. No, because we're all fucking pissed off because we thought Tiffany was to blame right now because that's why they did it like that. This guy had to do a whole bunch of situations where, because he's literally one of the people that was facing the other direction on her dome piece, so he can hear every thought that she has, and he has preemptive strikes against Tiffany and everything else that she wants to do. Right. And that's why these people were looking at me, threatening my life after a whole year of talking with these people about owning this S corporation that I got permission to further develop from the pirated software from Germany, which I don't even think that that's even the same thing. That had to do with keeping your body on, kind of, and everything else. It wasn't
trying to copyright the idea to look through people's eyes illegally. I was trying to help my UE people up here who couldn't keep their body on, whatever that means. But apparently they were spirits or something. I can't even explain whatever it is or is it. But it was me praying in the secret place, all right, where you can't see the people that you can't see, but you know you're working with good people in the sky, but they're being overpowered or overtook by evil. And some of it is cop related or whatever. But the problem is that they literally just went behind the scenes and tried to ruin my life when I already had calls out to people up here in the UE. And I don't even know if they thought that they reached their bodies on the ground to stick up for Tiffany or not, but I doubt it. It's just so fucked up. Now, so I've already submitted different videos to different people, but I never know where they go, and I can literally only send them to one person at a time. But they won't give me emails, they won't give me judges' names, they won't give me any direct phone numbers, because in here the judges know and everybody else knows when they're on my team. That was a monarch butterfly. The judges know when they find out that I was a UE member on the ground, and it does not mean at all that I was in trouble. It means they were watching me, protecting me because of what was going on in Portland. It's because they got disconnected. Because they never told Tiffany not to cross the bridge, right? When they told her to go home, and she was supposed to go home and sit at home and get disconnected at her apartment. But instead, she got in one more fight with Anthony Ciaz. And the people in her mind said, I don't want to be with a bitch who does needles, or I don't want to be friends with a bitch who does needles, right? And she's like, okay, cool. At least there's one person that cares enough about me to say that, even though they weren't saying it in a nice way at all. They said that to me in my head, right? And nothing, man. They literally blocked my emails from my emails and everything else from going anywhere. And I did submit this situation up here to Seattle FBI about how they back window it or backdoor it through the cell phone companies and can charge you money to talk to Tiffany in here if you're in here, and they can block your transmission. Like if my ex wanted to call me to see if I want to come over and see my kids or something like that, they can block it from him being able to get through to Tiffany or her mom to talk to her and leave her here with nothing, still feeling lifeless and secluded, while everybody else is trying to get a hold of Tiffany, that might be trying to get a hold of Tiffany, can't get a hold of her because they block it in here somehow, because they're all pinging off of her different cell phone numbers and everything else, and it is illegal. And watch, when I try to send this YouTube video to somebody, right, it's not going to go there, because every single one, when I was sending them to Secret Service and FBI and a bunch of other ones, they blocked it from here to go anywhere else besides here. They're literally just ruining my life over and over again, and I can't think of it. I'm not smoking weed, dude. It's them smoking whatever they're saying. Because, man, different people smoke weed, and it comes up on a timeline. Yeah, I have cottonmouth because they're freaking smoking weed, man. I don't do drugs. I moved across the bridge 2 fucking years ago to get off needles, which was meth, not heroin. All right? And my apartment was not what it wasn't, or whatever. It turned into a flop house, I guess. But anyways, the apartment was messy, but it had piles of stuff in my room, and the rest of it was not messy at all. And it had bins of clothes, but the rest of it was not messy at all. The apartment was clean. But AK stayed there, basically letting it be a flop house, so the door would not lock. So different people would come in and out of there from different gangs and different whatever, lifeless whatever people would come in and out of there and use the apartment for whatever they weren't using it for. Drug use, a place to swap stolen goods, whatever, right? Well, I have literally, and I have proof. My mom can admit to it. My mom's lawyer, or my mom's landlord from the 10th Street house, right? 2 years I've lived here. 2 years. And it's not just that I moved across the bridge and threw the coins at AK and I said whatever I said, right? Because there was like $10,000 worth of Mexican money that got stolen from somebody's storage or something that was floating around my room for like a year and a half, and I kept wanting to selfishly keep it and turn it in to replace my car because AK was supposed to fix it, but he never did. But instead, I did the right thing when I said goodbye to AK and I threw the coins at him, and I was like, here, take it. Bye. Have fun in non-extradition, asshole, right? Because he was supposed to leave to Arizona for whatever he didn't do. I'm not sure what it is, but extradition is where they can extradite you for something, and they can extradite your child support to a different state when you're not living in Arizona. They can basically pick you up there and have you come over here to go get in trouble for, or whatever it is. Or maybe it's if you're already in jail in Arizona and you have a warrant for your arrest, they cannot pull you from there to send you over to a different state. But anyways, the Anthony Ciaz situation is hardly seen at all, except in the judicial system. It shows him trying to change his identity into a different name, Alexander King, and he was denied. And he was denied because he had some, I don't know if it shows on the ground, but he had some sex scandal against him between Katrina and a couple other people. And most people thought that Tiffany was okay with it, but she wasn't. She had no idea what they were talking about. All she knew was that AK was a player, and she did not want to have sex with him because they were watching. All right? Not only were they watching, but then they would talk shit about her not wanting to suck his fucking dick. Okay? And it's just so fucking depressing. Anyways, yeah, they tried to ruin everything, because I was too, working with the beautiful people in this guy called Loyalist Royalty, not to be confused with Royal Loyalty or Royalist Loyal something, because they tried to reincorporate AK's ex business code where he got his tow truck stolen through or whatever, right? To try to steal from the deity group money up here, which had to do with a symbol and a spoon and a bunch of other stuff incorporated in there that know Tiffany personally on the ground. And they know that she was a big kid at heart, but she couldn't even go see her kids when it was snowing out because he ruined her car. She's sledding down the driveway at her apartments 2 years ago by herself. And when she was with her friend Mandy, she had to go sledding by herself too, because nobody gives a fuck about going sledding or seeing their kids or being compares or nothing. And no, evil ass law enforcement, Sal and Tony have no idea that you were making fun of Sal's dick because he's uncircumcised, or because he has to sit there and squeeze out his hemorrhoids, or because Tony's body was used illegally, or if they sat in his body and Tony's body to see if Sal loved her pussy more than Tiffany's, because back in the day, Sal loved eating out Tiffany. He didn't give a fuck. He loved it, right? They know everything about my whole fucking situation, because they're trying to sit here and make me look like the most disgusting, horrible slut bag or whatever, because they were using my body this whole time for like 2 years, mixed in with other people's bodies in here, because it was a magic body, because of the evil shit they gave me through my face. All right. And it's not even that it was evil. It had to do with the UE helmet that is put on you that allows you to be mentally connected to other people. So they literally gave me, optical illusions through my eyes from the sky. And I did not know who it was. They weren't telling me. They just said, I don't even remember what they said, because they erased my memory of what they said. But anyway, it was supposed to be able to get me up there to control my player, which, okay, cool. And then allow me to get disconnected from whatever I was connected to, right? Because I won the game or something, right? But as soon as I did that, they sent me 3 bodies like sweaters. I was sitting in Mandy's house, standing on the corner, catching them from the sky. Didn't even really know what it was. Felt them go over my body like sweaters. And maybe they were FBI, because it did kind of feel like something like that when they rolled it down on you with the FBI cover, huh? Yeah, kind of. I didn't really think about it like that. But anyways, and it wasn't Reynolds at all, like at all. So whoever it was, and his name is not Reynolds at all. It's something different. I'm not even going to say his name, because he is the big voice in the sky that is scary on this side. And the simple fucking fact that they can say his name is Big Voice in the Sky is just demeaning to the man who was the big voice in the sky, who is basically a king, and he is a loyalist, and he is a royalty man, but he does not like drugs, and he doesn't like dirty sex or whatever they're saying, and everything else. Now, we can go up there and talk to everybody up there on a different timeline where they haven't already blocked us out, because Big Voice in the Sky remembers in here, if they didn't erase his memory, remember in here telling Tiffany things will be fine once you go home. He knew I was at Sal and Tony's. He knew that Xavier gave me a ride home or whatever, and that I was there to see my daughter. He didn't understand why I didn't have a car, because up here they make AK or whoever he is look like the king, and that Tiffany was his best friend. They never talked about the fact that AK would come over once a day. They'd do it all.
They'd fuck. She hated it, which is why she did the needle, because it would allow her brains to go too high, to not pay attention to whatever the hell else was going on, like the guilt within her, to know she shouldn't be sleeping with him because she's not married. Okay? Not just that people shouldn't be watching, but that you're not allowed to sleep with somebody you're not married to, especially if they might be married to somebody different who could be hearing you or watching you or whatever and getting mortified but can't reach their body on the ground to tell their body on the ground that your boyfriend's cheating on you, right? It's just stupid. I'm a good fucking person, man. And the FBI need to understand, and they get mad about me inviting them to be a part of the dating group or whatever. But whatever we had going on up here, the dating program and all this stuff, the $1 million stuff, it did in fact start with Tiffany's power source down here on the ground. That is what was basically given to her to help her keep her body alive. And because she's the one that got the permission to further develop this tracking software slash keep your body on software from Germany that was pirated, not just by us, but by the law enforcement themselves, okay? That was through Anthony Cia's or LaShawn Clumpet's computer, they said, that they turned into a Game of Thrones thing with law enforcement, kind of, is not what we're not saying. So I'm the one who told them every single thing that busted out the situation on how it was ruining lives. Now, FBI and people on the ground cops, they don't really care about how many lives have been ruined because of this game and how many lives are still being ruined potentially and their identities being stolen and everything else. Yeah.
Anthony just called. I didn't get to see if it was Tony Anthony or the other Anthony. It was just going that, and I couldn't see what I was doing. Anyway, I did that, and I couldn't answer. Just a minute, let's tell me. The little green thing that comes up there, you can pull it down, you could talk.
Mm-hmm.
It never popped up there, and finally, it just showed something on the front in black and white, and I said hello, but they must have hung up.
Take your body off.
What?
Nothing.
Take my body off.
Nothing. Nothing. Sorry. Nothing. I was just talking about something different.
Yo, hurry.
Anyway, I'll look at it later.
Oh, okay, because I got to charge it again. It keeps running down really fast.
Do I have it on still? Yeah. I'm law enforcement, Tiffany, and I want to kill you. And I have no idea that you're Tiffany, Saraya's mom, real mom, who was set the fuck up in Vancouver, Washington, when we've been doing our illegal investigations through your power source and brain stems at all. For all of that shit over there. When we're the ones who set her up with Red Devil Boys in the first place in Vancouver, Washington. Because she wasn't going against law enforcement. She was working with the women in the UE up here that called the deity group. The women who give you your life force lines when you do back of the hand and free 20 million people or whatever we're not saying. Because it was to me that they did it through. Because it was my ISIM codes that moved the rocks. My ISIM codes were like that, possibly, potentially, because they gave me the scanning tool at first, right? That's why my ID scanned CIA 2 summers ago. And he can't even sit here and look at her because he couldn't even hear my thoughts either. They're just sitting on everybody else's head, pretending to be who they are, to stand up for Tiffany being crazy or messed up in the past. When it's bullshit. I didn't do that to you, whatever you're saying. Yeah, because you're seeing a reflection of me down here because they're still making it look like, well, all this bad stuff that happened was done by Tiffany, right? Right. But it wasn't. I'm just still on a chain and I was supposed to get disconnected with the blue pills at the schizo clinic, right? But I can't because I'm on life support because I saw the fucking stars and I'm on life support with what? The deity group. That was keeping me alive. Their imaginary company up here in the sky that got no benefits on the ground from whatever their brain stems were putting forth and how much power was being pulled through their bodies on the ground illegally and killing them and shortening their lifespan. And yes, people have fucking died. But the thing is on my side of the bridge, my S corporation or my umbrella corporation or my deity group that has nothing to do with law enforcement was medical advancements, technological advancements, and crime prevention with, the thought of like inheriting something different for my daughter called the Empress Division, which has stocks and bonds in it and everything. All this shit started with me.
Somebody might have said S Corporation in my body in Vancouver, Washington, Big Bear or something, but they were talking about something different. Okay? It had to do with porn. And I didn't want nothing to do with that, but I didn't argue with it because the porn thing is such a huge fucking thing for them that God forbid you go against the people that are talking about porn, right? Anyway, we found out a legal way for them to do it, but not by putting Tiffany on fucking Black Web, showing her vagina and everything else. I can't even tell you how fucked up it is because she's spotted, right? And so she's a very known body in here who's never been in here, who is a fucking mom, who never hurt her kids ever. All right. And the UE knows who she is now, but they were deleted to set her up for ownership and whatever else, the proprietary motions of something different that they're saying up here. Right. No, man. I took my mom's head pieces off that were sitting on my mom's head. And it's not just my mom. All right. I can do it to anyone. The problem is I can't see you. And this dry mouth thing is a repercussion of the stars, not from them being high. Because they're putting all the bad stuff over here for Tiffany to suffer even more. Because that's what they're saying up here in the UE right now. That yes, Ray's mom, the one whose body that you're using right now, Tony's, the redhead with long hair. Wasn't that the same one that she was sitting there cussing with the other girl in her daughter's body, the 17-year-old or 18-year-old, back and forth? Or maybe it's Rachel Morrow and Kiki. You guys are using their bodies in here? Right. So they're punishing me with dry mouth because I saw the stars, and they reproduced that whole situation where I got my magic power source and my ISIM codes in my body down here so that they can take charge and pretend that they had it first and all this stuff. But the thing is, they are taking advantage of the situation knowing that I've never been in trouble. My friend Mandy or whoever, and whoever else that might be control in here, right? They're connected to the law and they did play the game and they do know certain connections or whatever. But yet I'm sitting here with nothing and dying and literally peeing out of my blood hole right now. I didn't fucking hurt my kids. If you were to talk to my ex and my kids in person, they never thought anything bad happened to them. And I'm talking about in person. All right, I got custody of my daughter and my son. I got custody of my son, and I was a good fucking mom. And my daughter, when she was born, was the best blessing ever. All I ever wanted was a baby girl, right? I didn't beat my fucking kids. And then they just don't remember. Okay? It was literally a combination of anger issues that happened up here in somebody's head that beat their kids, basically mixed in with Tiffany's power source up here, or her headbang, whatever you want to talk it, where she headbanged her hair off and was doing it to be funny, right? Well, on the other side, there was another time where she might have been trying to headbang and her hair flew off and she was kind of embarrassed. Instead of doing it in a funny way, putting the funny one of Tiffany trying to make people laugh because of what happened in an embarrassing situation, they put the one where her hair flies off and she's embarrassed. And they make this huge deal about how embarrassed she is, right? So that everybody else will be embarrassed for her. And not just that, she's sitting on a naked power source right now. So when we look down at this mom who's never been in trouble and never hurt anyone in her entire life, she looks fucking naked. It's just ridiculous, dude. The thing is, I put bugs in a lot of people's ears, right? There's a lot of lawsuits going on, right? Well, the one that was against Anthony Ciaz about using their body illegally, they weren't on Tiffany's team at all, trying to stick up for Tiffany's body being used all over the internet illegally either, making money or whatever, because they thought she was in on it. The problem is you're not allowed to go against the porn industry up here because the fucking bodies that they use it as so magic or whatever, and now they get new ones because someone else went and saw the stars too. The bodies that they were using were the ones that I carried in. And between me and Anthony Ciaz, we both have STDs all over the internet. All right? So they recopy it, they re-kill more people, they re-kill the whole dimension of UE members, and now who even knows where they are? And who knows how many times they've done it? I can't even tell you how fucking selfish they are. And they took my algorithm to copy our life force up here with a mouse, with a UE member doing it for the right people like Tiffany, so that my life force does not get stolen from me, and their life force doesn't, and their life force, and their life force doesn't. And that was my S corporation, was with the life force and everything else we were saying. But it was not at all my S corporation. I called it the deity group because it was theirs. The women up here who don't talk, and they gave Tiffany the name Empress in Vancouver, Washington, knowing she lived at Carol Browning's house, knowing that they gave her backwards optical illusions to her face called sparklies or backwards dream books for memories and everything else that we can't talk about. There was never another human being more mortified and more humiliated for their own friend than Katrina in here. Okay. And they didn't even hear about the bad stuff. They just heard about everything else, trying to stick up for her to see if they would be on her team. And now they don't want to be on her team either, because there is a team somewhere sticking up for Tiffany because of everything else they heard, and they don't want that bad stuff coming on them, who are not even a parent at all, because they're not allowed to see their daughter either for the same reason on the other side. With that being said, the whole problem is that she did not hurt her kids, and these evil men set her up to make her look like a disgusting tramp who was in here selling her body for all the stuff and everything else. Well, if you were to go back in time and listen to everything Tiffany said, which we have all the proof up here, we have sent it to everybody in here. It's just they will not let us get to the ground, to give it to our bodies on the ground, to tell us what's going on, because they are infiltrating this whole situation, and they are literally trying to get Tiffany arrested for prison sentences that are not hers, because not only did they kill her player and put stuff on Tiffany that didn't belong there, because that's what happens when they kill your player. All right. And that's just it. The thing is that Tiffany's team, while she was the honing beacon specialist down here, Tiffany's team didn't even know necessarily who Tiffany was, because she's backwards scanned in. So some people are working on that side and some people are working on this side. And the people that are working on this side knew Tiffany was doing nothing wrong by helping people, right? And they were doing it too, because lions roar on purpose. That was like $375 million up here, which would be $375,000 on the ground. Okay, that's just a bunch of work that the back brains of these people that don't even know that they're connected like that are doing to make the law enforcement happy. While on the other side, all they're doing is bitching and moaning about this magic body, which isn't mine anymore because they changed it over there to have somebody else have it, right? And I swear to God, they're using Rachel Marlow's body in here illegally and her helping. That's why they won't, because Rachel thought I stole her money. And this is arbitrary stuff to these people that I'm trying to send this to. Anyways, I guess I'm just going to stop. But Judge, whoever you are in Portland, if you get this, I hope you do. You guys are going to freak out if you ever get any astonishing information from the FBI or anybody else who's not in here and who cannot get back to their body on the ground either, who think that they're helping Tiffany or whoever else they're not helping, like all these moms that literally had suits against AK or whatever, right? Because they were being whatever called sluts, or maybe it was against Tiffany for giving them STDs or whatever they're saying. And it wasn't even against AK at all. It was against law enforcement because they knew what was going on. And it wasn't Rachel either. It was Amy and them, basically. They were sitting up there way high on their high horse that Tiffany pushed their level 3 syndicate up to, because it was to Tiffany that they gave the power source to through her eyes. And then the UE, literally, the UE is what I'm saying. I say I'm a UE member because the UE told me that they're going to pull me up there to get me up there to fix the situation that they did illegally on this side, right? So I look up at the sky and the UE is sending me information through my face to pull my body up there. And they said they did pull my body up there. And I had a UE member helmet on. But the thing is that there was somebody else in my body. They had my memories and everything, but it wasn't somebody that could come back and talk to me necessarily because they were fixing the situation. Well, at some point or another, the power source switched or the body switched to somebody different or whatever they did, because it was a magic body, because of how they did it. They kept using it for sex and being able to read each other's mind up in La La Land. And it ruined everything that was going on. And it wasn't just an investigation on what had happened. It was a bunch of other stuff. And then more recently, when they came down here and they're like, well, we have a sting on people using bodies illegally. Tiffany's like, oh, well, I didn't. It was just my body, you know. I'm just saying don't use my body because they're coming back at me with STD questions and this and that. Well, they all felt like Tiffany wasn't on their team, which caused them to talk shit on the back of Tiffany's Facebook about her being something that she's not in here when she's not. It's just that you're not allowed to go against the porn industry or anything else. All right. And she did have lids.
like Callahan and Hornsky or whatever. And she did have judges, and there was judges, and there is a judge literally who remembers, but she's from Florida, that had heard about a case, which no, she's not. She's from Oregon or Vancouver. She remembers hearing about a case where they talked to Tiffany on a telephone pole about something that her kid was going to court for that he didn't do. And she told him that he didn't do it. And she told him, I'm not in there going to court against my freaking kid, Elijah, at all. Jimenez, at all. Somebody else is, because they were trying to set him up because somebody else named 11, whose nickname was given 11 by me because of the placement on the pie chart, right? The placement on the pie chart. Anyways, I'm trying to get to these people. Okay, woman, man, whoever you are, it's a lot easier to care about somebody who doesn't look like Tiffany, who's dying. She's literally dying. Okay, she's a good mom. Her family loves her. Everybody loves her. In Vancouver, Washington, she doesn't talk to her beautiful staircase full of beautiful women where they would have summer parties every year because Tiffany got disassociated when her and Sal broke up 6 years ago and she was homeless and he moved in with Tony. Beautiful, perfect Tony, long red hair, whose body they use illegally too over there in Portland, right? And yeah, we did tell Tiffany everything. She's exonerated from everything in here, especially child abuse, because we were part of the reason that she got those setups in progress. And they weren't setting Tiffany up at first. They were setting up her son because they couldn't set up Tiffany because Tiffany was a UE member up here. And no, the UE member that was Tiffany did never talk to Tiffany at all, except maybe to give her a different nickname called the Empress. Because Tiffany was mixed in with a few different people and they had heard that they ruined her nickname T-Bunny for the sex shit, which was a Breakfast Club submission with some bad stuff in it that was all done in Oregon. And my mouth is dry because they saw the stars with Mandy or whoever it was they used illegally to reproduce this whole situation. So maybe they did it to help Tiffany, but that's not what they were saying yesterday. Because of whatever the judges said over here. Because they're making it look like this one was the one responsible way back then. Which, by the way, I know. That's what I'm saying. So it's one thing to make somebody look like they're breaking into the office for whatever was done there at the office, right? 2 years ago or whatever. When she wasn't, Anthony Ciaz was setting up the other guy, right? And she was trying to help him unlock the door with a fucking wink next to it. They literally sat there while she's hiding in her cubicle thing. We call it a cubicle because we're not even allowed to say cocoon because it's a keyword. That she didn't hurt her fucking kids. She's not an abuser. And her kids have lived. Yeah.
That was Jim that called. He said that it's supposed to start snowing again about 3 o'clock and there's still snow out there. He asked if I wanted to go somewhere. I need to go to the store because we're out of sodas and a few things like that. And I need him to take out the garbage, but he can't even come up here. Because he said they haven't even cleared the roads. At least that's what Kathy said. She called him and said that they haven't cleared the road yet. I'm sure the main roads are clear. So I'm going to have to get in my car and go down there. Okay?
Okay.
What's the matter?
Nothing. I'm just listening.
Okay. So anyway. Yeah. I may change my mind, but I don't think so. Because if it's going to start snowing again, it doesn't melt is the problem. Because if there's not hardly any sun up there.
My thespian is doing drugs on the other side, I think. And they did disconnect me from the way I was connected before. Tiffany sits here trying to stand up for herself and she's not able to stick up for herself. And I had no idea that these people have been sticking up for Tiffany for 2 years this whole time, because she's working with both sides, because that's what they do. They set you up, right? And they work with both sides of the law with a wig next to it. It's a Game of Thrones type of thing where they pick and choose what they want to keep on their team for the game or the win or whatever, to get points or whatever. And whenever something looks right or they think they're going to get in trouble, they come and sit on Tiffany's head or whatever. Maybe they're facing the other direction. Looks like a flower, I think, which was my nickname from being Twitter pated by a black guy with long hair, not whoever they were saying. And the guy that looked like Reese, or the guy that looked like remember that guy? Yeah, well, he's in here, but he's backwards scanning now, so that's weird. Anyways, this woman here needs help financially. She's a millionaire, man. They literally stole her S corporation idea, and they stole everything else that came after their idea of trying to copyright the patent or whatever that she got with Japan up here to sell it to whoever they're saying. The ISTEM codes and stuff in here, and no, it didn't go to the ground. Of course not, because it was just on our line of communication or whatever, unless Japan really was whatever and smart and able to get in and hack in or whatever. We're not saying with the permission slips. I'm not sure if they were or not, because it was me that asked Germany, and it was me that put the body from Germany over here in Tim Nugent's body at Mandy's house from the ground with a UE member helping. And it didn't work right because the language barrier was too hard. So they had to go back over there and use a translator and a bunch of other stuff. But anyways, this woman is dying on the ground. And they're all sticking up for me over there, sort of. Or they might just be pretending to stick up for me, because the way they're talking is like Eeyore. Like, I'm sorry, Tiffany, your life is ruined anyway. You can't be the owner of your deity group for your daughter called the Empress Division, where she gets stocks and bonds and everything else that was our idea over here, which is everything besides porn and law enforcement portions of measurement, which is basically just harvesting the availability to use these brainstem codes that have already used their lifelines up in here and can still be killed in here or deadened in here so that they can live a normal life on the ground. All trying to stick up for Tiffany. And it's millions and trillions of dollars. It's ideas. It's inventions. But the main thing on Tiffany's side is, while they were worried about losing their availability to look through people's eyes and do things the way they were doing to either intimidate them or prove their innocence or guilt if they were getting what they wanted, right? And I'm talking about law enforcement and everybody else who may or may not have been a big bad guy in here. They wanted the availability to legally do that with that in Washington or Oregon, but it wasn't even legal in Oregon to do that yet necessarily. For the normal public, because it's an invasion of privacy. But it's not just that. It's one thing to look through someone's eyes through a computer, right? You're not reading their mind. But it's another thing to in here put their body on and be able to know everything they have or have not done, and or think that they have or have not done that, because they set it up that way to have you watch stuff and hear the thoughts and feelings of whatever they do to set you up from the past or the future. And then, yeah, it's just a setup in progress. And I swear to God, I'm a good person, and these girls that hate me because I look nasty or whatever when I'm not in here selling my body at all, they also hated me because I didn't stand up for them in here, because I'm not in here to see them. But I did say, like, well, I'm not going against the porn industry or whatever, right? And I can't even get into it, because me and Cindy were literally trying to help the bad guys do the right thing by, making Robotron bodies that were blank and they could have the same intimate whatever relationship with, where they can learn how to be their perfect mate in here without having it be with people on the ground, which is not what we're not saying. But anyways, that was me and Cindy's idea, because we're not allowed to go against the people in your head that are intimidating you or make you hide in the bathroom with your mom and a gun because you think a Robotron, a helicopter, is going to hurt you for some reason. And yeah, they did take her picture, but she didn't see the Robotron thing at all. She already knew it was something bad because she had heard it before at her house. And they weren't trying to set Tiffany up necessarily, I don't think. I think they were trying to set up whoever was in here. But the problem is that I looked up at my friend and I saw how fucking scared he was and how he did not want to be in the picture at all. And that did not make anything any better when I'm sitting here trying to stick up for them. The other thing I'm saying is that I copywrote the availability to use my eyes to scan things, right? up here so that it can be taken out of the computer, because you can literally scan somebody else's ID and then look like them and now know their history. So there's scans in here when I was scanning my ID in here from the past that did 2 scans CIA. And whether they were FBI then bumped up to CIA in here is not the point. The point is that I did go against them by saying you're not allowed to go in the past because the past can be changed. Because like I said, he came down the pipeline saying I was going to prison for a SWAT murder, right? But I don't know how the game is played. So I don't know if somebody that was on my team or my chain that killed a SWAT guy or not. I have no idea because I don't know anybody who killed a SWAT guy, right? But they showed a video of me running from the back of a house where a SWAT guy got killed to me. So I'm freaking out, right? And I'm running sideways figure eights with a UE member in my head trying to jump timelines and this and that so that SWAT murder or whatever it was or wasn't didn't land on my head, because they said you have till midnight, Tiffany, to get this off your head. But I'm not in there to do whatever they were doing. Well, when I did that, some people that were up here in the UE, like crisscross applesauce mice in a different situation. That's a different time. Anyways, it's just these people don't care about what she's saying because it doesn't make sense on the ground. The point is that Judge Reynard's or whatever they're saying over there is not true. And these ones up here know it, and they're acting like they're going to stick up for Tiffany, or they're just going to give her money and hopefully it doesn't go bad in any other area. But Tiffany has already put ticks out in a lot of different places with different phone calls. She even called the FBI in Florida to say the same thing, that they had stolen her identity. And when she says stolen her identity, she means her UE membership, because they're the ones that gave her the UE benefits in the sky to protect the situation of what happened when they sent me the 3 bodies illegally. Because not only can it hurt Tiffany, but it can hurt everybody else too. And it wasn't just for porn the way they made it seem. Okay, it had law enforcement involved with the Game of Thrones and everything else. So it could have been cool if they didn't use Tiffany body mixed in when they scanned it. But Tiffany and Anthony Ciaz both have STDs because Anthony Ciaz slept around all over the United States, in here and on the ground. And Tiffany does have skins on. And Tiffany does know that because the skins reward was something she got to protect her from seeing the nuke poison that fell on the ground in here called green gamma. My head is pounding. They're literally trying to kill Tiffany and protect her at the same time. That guy, he's in here and he is in charge over here in Washington State now because he got disbarred in Oregon. Really? Yeah. And I don't know what to tell you, Tiffany, because we do think something bad happened over here in Washington and in Oregon right now. It's just messed up. Because the reason why nobody called you back, because the feds were paying attention. But it wasn't just that. It's that they knew that Tiffany was involved in something in here that she couldn't talk about, right? And it did have to do with illegal porn. And this woman that you're mad at is not the one who hurt you. This is Tiffany, the mom of Sreya and Elijah and Xavier. Yeah, well, they see my video on Christmas, right? And they think I'm talking about porn or some shit. No, I'm not. I'm talking about my magic power source that killed me in real life for it, and the availability to do whatever it is that they do up here in the UE for the good things, like, cleaning house of riffraff or renewing your life force when you're dying, and everything else that came about when we were trying to save the president and everything. So while I had my idea of squashing this game out that is literally going on, I can still hear it over here. Optical illusion, where they literally put me standing on this wheel naked with my spots out and my hanging down showing on a fucking wheel where people would walk by it and hear it and be able to laugh their asses off. And a mom who's never hurt another human being on the planet ever and never wanted to be used for porn or looked at through porn or whatever they're not saying. Yeah.
Honey, will you go with me? I don't know what I'm going to run into out there, and I don't like the thought of being all by myself. Yeah. I'm not even sure if I'm going to go. I've got to get my boots on, go out and see if I can even get my car unlocked.
Okay.
Because it may not be as bad as Jim says, but I don't know. I haven't been out there in, today would be 3 days I haven't been out.
All right. So the thing is that this is an elevated plane, and I can take domes off anyone. But the problem is I'm almost positive that you guys are not reaching the ground at all. And they love it because they might be the ones that can timeline jump with lapels Nobody else on the ground knows what lapels are except Tiffany, because her heartbone was a UE member's heartbone up here, and they are the angels who protect people and save them, and also prove innocence, which is what she was doing the whole entire first year by helping the judges in here with her criminal mafia syndicacy over there, prove that they're not the ones who did that either. And it wasn't just the boys that they were trying to prove innocent, it was the girls, because it was to the girls' body who they were using that was a UE member that had children that they were connected to. Not even that they were watching, but in here, the children that you have in here, whether they're fake or not, it's a different situation, but I guess they can pull from their life force to keep them alive if they get too far away, right? They can see what their mom is doing or feel what their mom is doing. And if somebody is using their mom's body illegally, they feel like it's happening to them too. But they don't have to do that anymore with the life force for the kids to keep them alive anymore, because we figured out how to copy the algorithm up there with a mouse to the right people who deserve it. And they stole that invention too, even though I charged it to the stars, and it's right here in this Bible right here that says Tiffany also wanted to fight the mark of the beast, that she calls what she has now, where she's literally incapable of moving or going anywhere or fighting for herself in here at ground level, because she's not DEA, because it is DEA and it is kind of sort of FBI. They give you the permission to look through somebody else's eyes on a computer screen. And all of her friends that played Game of Thrones all know it too. And she's put ticks in different people's eyes and different things, and we can prove exactly what we're not saying with Tiffany's permission slip, because it did come from LaShawn's computer. And Tuan did have it for a while, but it was never his computer. It was LaShawn's. He was the one on it. He's the one that fixed the situation up here on Bamboo Day to be from somebody different to somebody else. So they're saying switch the thing up here to fix it for somebody else right now over there, named Mandy or whoever else it was that they gave the optical illusions to, or Rachel, to disregard Tiffany. Because LaShawn and them, or whoever they're pretending to be now, right? Because they're up under everybody. They really did go back in time and redid the whole situation to get the magic power source or whatever and ISIM codes with the scanning capabilities. And yes, it did kill a bunch of us. And that's why Tiffany is bleeding out of her vagina right now, backwards, because there's so many people in here that are fake children, kind of, that's trying to put the life force back into Tiffany because she's bleeding out of her pee hole because her kidneys are giving out of her. And it's not even to keep Tiffany alive either. It's to keep this one alive, who on the other side, it's not Tony the redhead either. It's someone else. Name her daughter Soraya, who's not even her daughter. That's Nikki's daughter, or somebody different. Anyway, the point is that these people, Nikki or Sal and Tony, don't know nothing about any of this stupid shit. Neither does anybody else in real life at all necessarily about this game or whatever. Okay, maybe Marilee knows because she said something, right? But they don't know about any of the other shit that it does to you. And it's just so fucked up because Sal and Tony don't know either, except I told him that they arrested him twice for something he didn't do either. Yeah, but the people that we're talking to are made whatever they're not saying, right? Stick up for Tiffany, kind of. Well, they ruined it in here, and they'll probably never talk to Tiffany again either because of what was said in here about her. I keep wanting to say, we found your Google file, Tiffany, with all the pictures of your kids and stuff, like all those backwards dream books, But when we open them or we look at them, it's literally a blank page. It's literally a blank Soraya's kaleidoscope and a talking head. This is just so depressing because in here we can prove innocence so easy by showing people how much their mom loves their fucking kids and shit. And it's just so fucked up because Tiffany was a good fucking mom. She was a really good mom. They're so broke up, and she was literally fucking homeless too. She was homeless, and so was Tiffany's mom homeless. They were living out of their fucking cars. They went from being a happy fucking family to having nothing. Nobody's supporting them financially or nothing. It's just so fucked up. And she did go to Salem because she met some stupid kid.
And that's when she did meth or whatever. And then she met the people in Portland that did meth and sold drugs or whatever and everything else. But she did not hurt anyone at all. No. Because we think that the CPS people were sticking up for Tiffany, even though they were irritated that she has brain cancer and she was smoking a vape pen, which is just water usually. But it doesn't go to the ground necessarily at all. And the FBI won't talk to Tiffany because of what was up here. And it wasn't necessarily at all about whatever you're thinking. It's because she thought that Tiffany was okay with them using our bodies illegally on the internet for sex or whatever else, when she wasn't at all okay with it. It's just that the law enforcement that is in here is very scary, and they don't see that guy that threatens your life and says your fucking nasty vagina or your diseased vagina is all over the internet, Tiffany, or your pussy juice video is all over the internet, Tiffany. And see, that girl is one of the ones that came down and was talking shit through my face to evil Celinda and evil Lucinda or whatever, which was a bunch of evil dudes in there, pissed the fuck off that Tiffany had an STD and they got embarrassed or whatever, or maybe AK got an STD and she called him out about it and he was sleeping around without telling everybody else. And not just them, but every other girl that slept with AK that knew about it too also knew that they had it, but they don't know on the ground up here what's going on with their bodies or whatever. But now they don't have to use STD bodies because they went behind my back and redid the whole situation for some more illegal porn that doesn't have STDs in it. Right. It's like, hey, you want to send me some pictures of my kids really quick? When I was little, or when they were little, showing me being a good mom with my babies and my pregnant silhouette picture and all that stuff that's gone now when I've been begging the UE to help me get into my Google where all my pictures are, but they used my body pictures illegally with the scan thing or whatever because it had a bunch of facial recognition software on it or whatever they're saying. That's the other thing, saying that even yesterday when they're trying to stick up for Tiffany, they're still using a different body, not mine, because down here it shows this one that they set up. And they won't use the one on my Facebook, either one, because of how much shit they talked. Like it was Tiffany okay with porn or whatever, and not just that, but they did do that other thing on the other side about the child abuse like a motherfucker. And I don't know if they used my actual picture, the one that stuck up for Mikey in the court cases or whatever, called the arm shrapnel picture. And the judges hate that one because they're going against the FBI or whatever, because she was literally saying that on purpose, man. Because the FBI is the one that was in her fucking head and they weren't sticking up for her because they were doing the porn shit. They were mad at her. Because how do you think that you feel when you feel like somebody wants to kill you because you set somebody up in here or whatever they're saying? When Tiffany never agreed to be a narc or a fucking rat or a fucking paid informant, but she's never been paid. And a lot of them said, we gave this girl, Tiffany, $50,000 yesterday to replace the car situation. But they didn't give it to fucking Tiffany Browning. They gave it to Teresa or whoever it was that stuck up for Tiffany to prove to them that Tiffany was a UE member. And she was not sticking up for this one with the scab either. She was sticking up for the other one who looks like Tiffany on the other side. A pretty version of her, which isn't even Tiffany. It's someone else from her Facebook. They had this Illuminati thing on it, maybe. The thing is if Tiffany doesn't sign in under this program, literally it's a DEA situation. Like you've been to jail and you had your mugshot taken, right? It's so fucked now. It is so fucked now because of her ISTEM codes, and it's literally because of her availability to copy what she looks at or scan it and have it come in here like a driver's license. And I didn't take that information from that win either, Tiffany. I need to put that in there. Either way, it doesn't matter because it doesn't go to the ground. We can't find pathways over there to that lady over in Oregon or nothing.
because the guy that was sitting on her head is one of the ones that set her up, sorta, or else they used his name to set her up. And he was against Tiffany, and he wasn't the one that unrolled on her on the other side either. That's a different FBI guy, which is one of the bodies that they put on her, which is where the see-through level came in at.
Back when they were doing all that bad stuff, yeah. That's what I mean, man. Harley Hudson, everybody loved Tiffany for not being a rodent and all this other stuff. And they love Tiffany that she didn't do drugs. But the thing is that they don't see this one who's dying, who has a zit right here from this guy and has a lip right here, because the other guy is literally a prison guard or something that stands outside all day and it gets windburn. I have guys in my body. The situation is messed up. So they have to keep putting formaldehyde on her head now instead of that for putting her electrocuted in Iran, and an electric chair that they had to buy specifically when it wasn't even Tiffany they were electrocuting, it was someone else, which was one of the bodies that she carried in here, and they didn't know that she was on a chain the way she is backward scanning or whatever through the UE, who she still doesn't know who they are. And they've never even really admitted that they were FBI because they felt bad too for not helping her all those times with the voices. Knowing that she didn't want to do drugs anymore. She didn't want to have sex out loud, and she moved across the bridge, and they just kept using her advance notice to whatever they're saying to their advantage to get rich or get points or whatever. Tiffany, I can't tell you how sorry I am, dude. I don't really want to keep falling in your body, but everybody else is doing the same thing. Because this is Tiffany down here. She really is dying because she's backward scanning and they gave her the Chinese cocktail, and it is hurting more people still in here that don't remember from one body to the next what happened in this body. Only the lids remember, and they can't hear her thoughts. They can't hear what she's saying out loud. They can only hear what she says quietly. Tiffany hates it because she can't talk quietly because this guy hears it instead. And yes, you can take their domes off, okay? But it can kill people now again and a bunch of other stuff. You can take their domes off, you can erase their memories, you can deaden their player, and you can put them up underneath something if they're not on a chain. Yeah, it's like, is this bad stuff about Tiffany? Yeah, man. It's fucking bad stuff about Tiffany's Brian, whatever that is tagged in a post. Yeah, it's all bad stuff about Tiffany being something that she's not, like hurting somebody that she's not. When she's not trying to hurt anybody, she's trying to stick up for people and everything. It's just messed up. Because I'm looking up, because this is the people up here that keep coming down with the light, trying to help Tiffany, and never helping her because she looks like she's sitting here on a chain. It was Tiffany who flashed back the FBI cloud. It's Tiffany that sees the clouds. It's Tiffany who can see people in other people's bodies. Nobody else understands what it's like to look at somebody and hate them and know that they're not the ones they hate, but they can feel it more than Twan right now because he's mixed in with Scrappy. And they did that on purpose for some reason. And they can't deaden his player because he's on a fucking chain too. And they're winning on one side but not on the other. And it had to do with the porn thing. But like I said, Tiffany hates porn. Okay, but the way Tiffany was talking about it is something different, and she doesn't even really know what it means, but it didn't have anything to do with sitting in the bodies of the people on the ground or making fun of them at all. It had to do with something that's done up in the rich land or whatever, which doesn't fucking matter to people on the ground down here at all because they're not a part of it unless they're watching it on, a video like a DEA would and can actually see into this world, which they can't. Unless they're synergized, I guess. Or something. Which I don't think it works like that either. If the transmission probably gets broken. It's supposed to stick up for Tiffany either, and I'm comrade over here. It's because we used her body legally, and Tiffany doesn't care that we used her body, but the point is that we did use it,
STD, right? And whether Tiffany was raped by Scrappy or not, they did use a condom, and either way, AK had already slept with Ashley, so it didn't fucking matter. So everybody else had it too. And it isn't great in these skins because these people were already wearing skins too before it was even a thing that they didn't know about, or maybe they went back in time and did it for the mental connection or whatever. We're not saying. And they're not really who they seem, but they're versions of them appear because we're so many clumps away from the actual reality check that says Tiffany is the one who sets stocks and bonds with some guy that she can't see, and she was the one helping them figure out how the loop was going to go on a chain that she was already on and didn't know it, or else she would have been talking to these guys. But she doesn't understand what that means. By making a chain on the ground with them doing it to her face, and it accumulates interest in a different way, I guess. Because it expressed interest in too many accounts, the same accounts that said Tiffany had never hurt another human being on the planet in her life. And the Yui did tell Tiffany she can't be a Yui member and a syndicate at the same time, but they weren't talking to this one on the ground, they were talking to this one up here. Whether she was backwards getting it hurt her or not is not the point. Tiffany doesn't understand what's going on because she never did see her armband of choosing. She never did see anybody. She's been here in Vancouver sitting here with nothing, waiting for Blue Room Theories to come back and give her $3,000 from 2 years ago. And now it's a $1 trillion industry in the sky and everything else, and it is illegal as fuck. But either way, the good stuff all starts with whatever they're saying for law enforcement to fix it, right? Tiffany's good stuff is with the UE up here, and it is in fact putting back the life force algorithm on our team up here that keeps our players alive on the ground and in real life and figures out how the fuck to disconnect them because it is the cerebral cortex.
Hey, would you mind walking up, either watching me out the window or walk me to the car, because in the sidewalk it still is nothing but snow, and I just want to make sure if I fall, somebody can come pick me up.
Yeah. Am I still going with you?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Just give me 2 minutes, okay?
Well,
Can you make me some coffee?
Well, honey, I got it. If I can't get my car unlocked, I can't go.
Okay.
Okay, I just want to walk out there right now and check that, then I can fix you some coffee.
Okay.
So,
I'm just on a video chat with this person really quick, but just give me 2 minutes, okay? Anyway, what we're all saying is we were against Tiffany, and I don't. I'm one of those that does not remember from one person to the next who I'm sticking up for. But I do know about the Scabby Pussy song that they're making up now, and it's just so fucked up. And the song that they made, the Molesty song or whatever, that was the Gun and the Camo song that Tiffany literally sang the hook of to her song Son, right? And then they made it illegal, and were singing it about Elijah being something bad to his sister when he was younger. Because they couldn't set up Tiffany, they promised her they would hurt her kid first, right? Or at all. And then they changed it later while this wannabe Elijah was in prison up here and made him write it. And they went on the radio or whatever, the way they did it. Anyways, it's just messed up because his name got mixed in with somebody else's name whose name was 11, that Tiffany might have given a person a sit at your desk and kill yourself, Wayne Johnson, in Arizona, because he knows what's going on and he's not saying nothing about anybody and not helping Tiffany Browning at all. And they're the ones that was working with the guy that said something to Tiffany with the spotted rabbit situation, because it's a thing. Okay, because this did come from Arizona. The people who gave Tiffany her thing that tried to get her up there to fix the situation, this is the Arizona UE that Tiffany was talking about, who she had the S Corporation, which is theirs, but it's the Blue Life Force where it starts there. And then everything else that transpires after that is out of Tiffany's hands. And she doesn't even care about owning nothing. She just wanted to have her syndicate or whatever on paper to be able to give it to her daughter when she dies. And also, yeah, she would love to get a Lambo and be able to work for people and stuff and be celebrated, not whatever. No, she doesn't do drugs. But that's not even the point. The point is, I mean, Tiffany's heart is so Yui, it's not even funny. But they set Tiffany up for M&R cases with Eston Ape over there in Portland, just like she fucking said they were going to do because of this corporation thing, that it wasn't even her saying it. It was
the right people saying it on the other side, kind of. Anyways, I gotta go. They're trying to come down here and pay you again. I know. Can't you just get the information? Because they can't pay me the way that they think. They can't drop it into a bitmap that I don't have. I don't have an Apple laptop. They're supposed to log into my Green Dot and put money on it from any account that they want. It's bank, login, password, personal accounts, or whatever. And whatever that name is the one that you need to get the account for, the phone number for, and I'll give it to you in a minute. But and she is supposed to log into this system that we're on, and it does go to the ground for some people that have been in trouble, but not everybody. But she does need to log into it. She needs to do it today after she goes to the store with her mom. So Dwayne Johnson or whoever they just said, this is on live YouTube. I hope you realize that. And you're just as guilty as Evil Force for not sticking up for people on the ground who have been annihilated with the prison sentence scares and all this stuff. And no, Tiffany does not know who killed the SWAT team member in real life. She's never seen him. If she did know, she doesn't know because she's never seen him. Okay? And we all accidentally said it was Rodriguez because Rodriguez is the one who set up a back window because he was afraid he was going to lose his trailer in the future, who blamed it on the guy, Ward's dad, who thought he was going to lose his farm, right? And then Tiffany saw the win later where their trailer flipped over. There was a car hauler that whoever it was, stole from U-Haul and used Tiffany's car to tow it over there to Salem and give them to trade for meth back in the day. And the people on the ground, like Ward and them, none of those people know that their bodies have been used or their memories have been used for betting or nothing. Only people from Portland who played the Game of Thrones know what this is, unless they've been in trouble and had to sign something with the DEA and maybe a few FBI agents. But honestly, most people do not have a clue what this is or how big it is at all, let alone that it's killing people and stealing life force out of people, or it was before Tiffany copywrote the idea of whatever we're saying to fix it, right? With her UE member, whose name is Katie Celeste. It's not really even Celeste. It's the one that wanted to get her up there to fix it, and she is from Arizona. And we'll just call me Roberta Johnson. All right, so I'm going to go watch my mom walk to the car, and I'm just going to leave this going. Not that anyone's watching right now because they don't, but it saves it, and other people are sending these videos out, and they can too see people sit on my head in real life. On the ground when we're not at. Yeah, I know. It's like, oh, snowing. Let me put my snow bib on and my nice snow coat and all this stuff because I don't have any money at all. What, Mom?
I just said I got to get going. Jim's worried about the time because it's supposed to start snowing at 7. But I don't know if I can get my car open. Your coffee's in the microwave. Put it in here. Yeah, I don't think we should. I just want to